A-C-A-C-A-S. Bop, bop, back. Disney's Aladdin from the Super NES on the Xbox One. This game is part of the Disney Classic Games Collection. It includes The Jungle Book, Aladdin, and The Lion King. This is notable because I played the original Disney's Classic Games Collection earlier. It's on my channel. It included the Sega Genesis version of Disney's Aladdin. The one that Virgin Games did for the Sega Genesis, the Mega Drive. A conversion of that was made for the Game Boy, and I want to say for the Game Boy Color. This is a bit more complicated because Capcom, at the same time, back in the day, each companies had rights to doing games for individual consoles. Like, you know how Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion came out on the Sega Genesis? I did a video of that on this channel. But the Capcom version was released on the Super NES called Magical Quest. It was a completely different game than the Sega Genesis. It came out several years later, by the way. Sega was publishing Sega published the version of Disney's Aladdin that Virgin Games did. Dave Perry did that one. You know that one. It's one where Aladdin has a sword. I never played that game growing up, but I always wanted to, and it's still one of the best looking Genesis games I've ever played. But it's a terrible game. It's basically, it's a really sloppy platformer with really bizarre hit detection. You can't really tell if you're making contact with the enemies. There are foreground objects to prevent you from seeing what you're jumping on. The game doesn't distinguish between what you can jump on and what you can't. The animation, the camera's really wonky, so the camera's always jerking around when your character's moving. So the game's very hard at times because of all that nonsense. And it has the usual Dave Perry level design nonsense where it's like, yeah, go everywhere and maybe you'll eventually snake around the level and find the way out. It's not a particularly sophisticated game. Now, I never played that game growing up, but I did play this game when I was growing up. I rented this from a local video store. It might have been Blockbuster. It might have been Potomac Heron Video. I don't know. But I did play this game and rented it and beat it in a weekend because back in the day, some video games were made to be played and beaten, if you will. Now, you might remember this was back in the day when Capcom was the premier third-party developer for the Super NES. Street Fighter 2, Mega Man X, Mickey Mouse's Magical Quest, games like that were a huge deal. They had the rights to make... Remember, Capcom made a bunch of Disney games on the Nintendo Entertainment System, DuckTales being the most fondly remembered. I played the remastered version of that game on this channel. But I also have the Disney Afternoon Collection on my PC. I played a bit of Darkwing Duck. I'll pull out those videos a bit later. In fact, there's no reason for me not to play those games because I don't know if that game is compatible with the Steam Deck, but I'm pulling out a bunch of games that are laptop friendly. And if you're the kind of person who plays commercially available, emulated ROMs like the Disney Afternoon Collection, you used to be able to buy that game for about $9. I think I bought it for like $5. It included both Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers games, Darkwing Duck, which is probably the best of the bunch. I couldn't tell you. It's been a while. I haven't played it. I've never played it except for that 10 minutes that I played Darkwing Duck when I first bought the game. I'll play it again on my laptop later. The Tailspin game was also included in that collection. No one talks about it. Apparently it wasn't even any good. It's a game I guess they buried. The Tailspin TV show is probably one of the best shows on the Disney Afternoon. But the games are not well regarded at all. The Tailspin game is considered mediocre in every way. No one talks about the NES game. A GameCube version a Game Boy version was made, I want to say. I don't think a Mega Drive version was ever made. But it was weird. The Disney Afternoon was weird. The PC engine in Japan, which we call the TurboGrafx 16, got a version of Darkwing Duck, and apparently it wasn't any good. So there were multiple games made for the same IP. Same deal here. There's the Genesis version that Virgin Games did of Aladdin that everyone's heard of and everyone loved and sold millions of copies. I'm on the other side of that, obviously. And there's this game, which, again, is somewhat fondly remembered by some children, But back in the day, I remember people preferring the Genesis version because, well, it looked a lot better. Because let's be honest, this game looks pretty good for a Super NES game. It's basically like Super Ghoul. It looks like the same artist behind Super Ghouls and Ghosts and Castle of Illusion. Magical Quest with Mickey Mouse. Yeah, this looks like a game they would have made. It has a similar art style, but it looks like a traditional Japanese side-scrolling game from the early 1990s on the Super NES. Reasonably well polished for what it is, which is a Capcom side-scrolling platformer from the early 1990s. But it doesn't have the flash. It doesn't have the spectacle. It doesn't have the artistry that Disney's animators brought to the Mega Drive version, the one that Virgin Games did. That was a game that was made by people who loved animation, that hired the best animators in the world to go out and make a work of art that ultimately had to be converted to a side-scrolling platformer. And it worked as a work of art, like on the Cuphead Earthworm Jim level. That was the kind of game they wanted to make. This looks more like a conventional platformer. You know, simple canned animation cycles. The platforming is easier to parse. The mechanics are easier to parse. The hit detection's more solid, so you always know if your character's going to make contact with an enemy 90% of the time, let's just say. As opposed to the Genesis version. I'll get to that in a second. But I'm going to start this game now. I did beat this game, like I said, the weekend when it first came out. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's any kind of brilliant masterpiece. But I will tell you it's a better game than the Genesis version, which wasn't that great. But I know people, you loved it when you were 10. I understand. Okay, I'm a 40-something. I'm a grown man. I can appreciate good platformers from the 1990s. This is like, meh. I don't mean to be that guy, but this game is meh. It's okay. It's a competent platformer that looks better than the average platformer from this era. It has a tiny bit of Capcom polish. The music's kind of meh. There are like 2 good songs in it. But we'll talk about that later. Hold the X button to run, A button to jump, throw fruit. Let's adjust that a bit. Let's throw fruit with the right. Can I throw fruit with the right bumper? There we go. I guess I can run with the right trigger. That might be fun. Glide with the rug. Why would I want to glide with the rug? Let's see if we can. Well, let's practice running with the button. We'll be fine. Again, what kind of game do you think this? It's a platformer. It's a Mario-like. It's not even a Mario-like platformer. You aren't running so you can. This isn't a game where you run to gain momentum. It's a game where you run so you can move faster, as I recall. This isn't a game where I played this game for half an hour already. So this isn't a game where it's terribly sophisticated. It's a game that a 5-year-old can pick up and play and not be too frustrated with it. You can beat this game in a weekend, unlike Lion King. We'll talk about that later, too. Well, we're not going to quit the game. So again, X button to run, and Aladdin to skid to a stop. But again, this isn't terribly complicated. He's reasonably fast as is. But this is a platformer. So again, you jump on enemies' heads to defeat them. You don't have a sword. But you do have a few other extra moves, like right here. You can do the old ledge. You can use the old ledge grab. Oh yeah, you can bounce off of things and get yourself a little bit of aerial momentum. Well, let's check this out. You just kind of hand plants off of this thing. So you can keep it going if you want, but I don't see what purpose it serves. Like, you can hold down the jump button to give yourself a little momentum, like that. But if you don't hold down the jump button, you just do a hand plant. But again, unlike the Genesis game that Virgin Games did, the platforming and the hit detection is a lot better in this game. I don't know why I took a hit there. Can I go up? Nope. I thought I could move up there. There are some platforms up there. How do I get up there? I can't see that. That's okay. We'll figure it out. Careful. Yeah, there are platforms up there. I don't know how to get there. Nah, can't get up there, so never mind. We'll just move along. Oh, guess you can bounce off that dude's head for some reason. But you can also attack enemies by doing the little swing. Oh, maybe that's how I get up there. Just a second. That might be the way up there. Hey, dude. Oh, you have to wait till he comes out. Then you have to bounce on his head. Just a second. There we go. Okay, I wanted to get those. No fall damage, by the way. Give me a second. I'm trying to practice this game a bit. I guess this is technically a research stream, but I'm probably not going to do a full playthrough right now. Whoops. There was one stage that was pretty hard. I want to say it was level 3, I think. The Cave of Wonders with the really good music in it. But again, this isn't that kind of game. This isn't a game that's like really stupid hard. There you go. Kind of 100% this level. I got your Elden Ring right here. That's how long it's been. That's dating this video a little bit. Elden Ring? What are you talking about? What's Elden Ring? This is the Dark Soul. This is the Elden Ring of Disney Afternoon video games. This isn't even a Disney Afternoon game. It's a Disney movie game. I got a scarab. I think that gives me an opportunity to get an extra life. And once I complete the stage, I get to spend a scarab to get some extra life opportunities, I think. So if you want to go backwards, you have to jump and then grab the pole again. Careful. This might be a little bit dicey. Again, better hit detection, so it's easier to make contact with these enemies. Make a jump around there. Crap. Okay, guess I was moving in the wrong direction. I don't think I can't jump backwards, that's the problem. I have to jump and then turn around in mid-jump to switch directions, like that. Yeah, you gotta switch directions in mid-air. Hup! There we go. You just press up to mantle. There you go. Careful! That crap. Enemy placement can be pretty nasty in this game. Although, like I said, it's not that hard. Boop! Over here! Crap. Crap. No, that won't work. At least the run button gives you a bit more distance on your jumps, I want to say. Wonder if I'm invincible during any of my flipping. Because that might keep me from getting shot by those arrows. Whoop, missed that red gem. That's okay. And there's the scarabs. I should be able to get an extra. I should be able to get a bonus round, right? Just like the Sega Genesis version. I don't remember what happens if you land on the genie. So let's play the Wheel of Fortune. We're not going to talk about the ludonarrative dissonance here because we haven't even met Genie yet. You know, whatever. Of course, if you played the Genesis game, I mean, there were like these little genie pots that served as waypoints. That's another issue entirely. Yay, I got more hearts. Actually, I want to say if you land on the genie, you get like a longer life bar. Like, I think you get more hearts. Like you get a 5th heart, something like that. Come on, right off the bat. This music is not great, but it'll do. Yeah, there's only 2 levels of parallax scrolling here, but when you get to the next level, there'll be 5 or 6 levels of parallax scrolling. A lot of Super NES games are kind of lazy with the parallax. I was, back in the day, I used to worship parallax scrolling. The more layers, the better. Like Adobe Acrobat or whatever. But now, I guess they figured that it was just easier to work with 2 scrolling backgrounds instead of, like, multiples. I'm not gonna complain about that. Maybe to improve the speed of the game. Oh, come on. Garbage. But again, as long as I get a heart on the other side, I can take that hit. I never said this was a no-hit deathless run. So again, they decided to make a Mario platformer. You know, kids understand Mario games, don't they? But nothing as sophisticated as, like, you know, what was it, Super Mario World. I want to say, yeah, I think the Genesis version of this game, wow, there's a slowdown in this game. Anytime there's more than 3 moving objects, there's slowdown in this game. So get used to that. Authentic Super NES slowdown. Whoops. Anyone who grew up in the era knows what I'm talking about. The Super NES was ridiculously underpowered, but to be honest, I want to say the Genesis version, what was it? There it is. What was that game? The Jungle Book on the Super NES had no slowdown, as I recall. Pretty optimized engine, all things considered. Like, Dave Perry's engine seemed to be pretty sprightly as far as, like, not. I don't think there was any real slowdown, and I think there might have been a little bit of slowdown in Cool Spot. I think, yeah, Jungle Book I think was pretty clean. Lion King I think had no slowdown. I'll double check. But a lot of those Dave Perry Virgin Games titles had no slowdown on them, as I recall. They were, I mean, despite the jerky camera, I mean, they got the job done as far as, like, avoiding that problem that plagued so many Super NES games back in the era. Like, nearly all Super NES games with any kind of serious activity had slowdown in them. Can I climb this? Nope. Got the red gem, don't know what it does, but I got it. Careful! Can't get them. That's fine. Dead end anyway. Avoided that entirely. Okay, that was some garbage. So I have to bait him into shooting high. Maybe that's what's going on. I gotta bait him into shooting high. Yeah, gotta bait him into shooting low and then jump over it or something like that. Got it. Woo! Okay, this should be the level where we get to check out the skyline. Once we get to the top. Okay, nothing in here. Boing. There it is. See, check out the levels of parallax in the background. It's like 4 flat layers, so they're kind of cheating a bit. Guess I forgot to jump. But yeah, this is what passed for spectacle back in the early 90s in a platformer. How many background layers do you have? We have all the background layers. There's probably some line scrolling tricks. It might just be like 2 scrolling backgrounds with like some line scrolling tricks. Depends on the game. Some games had like independent backgrounds, and some games just had like a bunch of flat background tiles that they scrolled at different speeds. So it looked like it was more layers than it was. If you remember Street Fighter 2 on the Super NES, they had line scrolling. So if you looked at the floor in like Ryu stage or whatever, the planks on the floor would scroll with the perspective, in a perspective correct way. So it looked like a 3D scrolling floor. That's the line scrolling trick that I'm talking about. So some developers use that trick. So to give people the impression that there were more layers of background scrolling than there really were. Like, I think if you were to break out an emulator, you could turn off the background layers and see how many actual layers are there. Because again, in a game like this, there might just be like 1 or 2. But they might fake the multiple levels of scrolling. In fact, if you want an example, look at any NES game. The NES, there are lots of NES games that have parallax scrolling. But the problem was, well, it wasn't really a problem, it was just sort of a reality. I thought there was a platform here. There it is. I can barely see that. That was a nearly blind jump. Whoop, there's the slowdown again. I saw that. But yeah, back on the NES, remember there was no parallax scrolling that was innate to the platform. So if you played a game like Totally Rad, if you remember that game, I think it was called Magic John, the Famicom in Japan. The NES, the North American game called Totally Rad, had several levels of parallax scrolling in them. I forgot to bounce off that dude's head. That's okay. So the idea is that in a platform that didn't have parallax scrolling, you can fake it by doing line scrolling tricks to give people the impression of multiple backgrounds. I think it's like a, what do they call it? An interrupt trick. Like they would do these tricks and the Genesis would do this too. Games like Castlevania Bloodlines, I think, did this. They would give people the Adventures of Batman and Robin would do a lot of that. They would do lots of tricks to fake things like line scrolling and, you know. Again, they would do these tricks to give people the optical illusion that, you know, levels were scrolling independently. Or in the case of that Batman and Robin game on the Genesis, they would, like, give people the impression that, again, lines were scrolling in a 3D manner. Like, they would scroll slowly they would scroll slowly on the bottom of the screen and then scroll quickly on the top of the screen. Or they would scroll slowly on the bottom of the screen. Or they would scroll quickly on the bottom and scroll slowly on the top of the screen. So it was the illusion of a line scrolling effect. Don't touch that guy's sword. So you have to bait him into swinging it and then jump on his head. Whoop. Or just do that. Say, there you go. Just don't touch the sword. This boss is kind of nasty. Look at him, Boo. Look at him go. Fight, fight, fight! I got your Street Fighter right here. Done. I should be able to beat him without taking a hit, but I haven't quite gotten the pattern down yet. Okay, where's the Street Mouse? Have I told you Aladdin's my favorite American animated film of all time? Just Spirited Away is not American. So we'll get around to that. I'm gonna have to do a full playthrough of this game later, but like, it's no big deal, really. It's just a thing. Password. We need a password. Yeah, it's got a great view. What was that thing? I want to say Magical Quest was the first Capcom Disney game they made. On the Super NES, anyway. And again, I want to say the art style was similar to the art style in Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which was a launch game on the Super Famicom, the Super NES. And then they brought out Magical, because I want to say the color, I want to say the art, basically the color work, just kind of looks similar to the backgrounds in Super Ghouls and Ghosts. A lot of the art and the assets kind of look like Super Ghouls and Ghosts in a way, and Mickey Mouse's Magical Quest. But there was one other game. Yeah, I want to say there was like an arcade game, like King of Dragons might have had a similar look. Knights of the Round, maybe. Like, how do I describe it? It's like a look, imagine if you're drawing a vine. The center of the vine would be like brown or black, but there would be a lot of fuzziness on the edges. Like the vines would be green, there would be a lot of fuzziness on the edges. Yeah, this is my favorite song in the game. Though the instrument selection is kind of weird, but it works. Ow! Crap. Yeah, but I'll let you listen to the music for a second. Whoops. So these platforms drop, then you can then you can jump on them to grab those gems. There you go. Cool. Ah, crap. Yeah, I knew this was a breakaway floor. Garbage. And kind of dicey here. Hold on. Okay, I got it. Okay, that's enough music. Okay. So the song's okay. Thanks, Abu. Blind jump. Remember this level being a lot harder than this. I want to say I died like 10 times to that first bit. With the falling stalactites. Y button to right on the rug? Or is it the... Oh well. Guess we're not jumped on the rug now. This is always one of my favorite bits of animation ever. Like I remember watching Aladdin in the theaters and being just blown away by the mime animation on that carpet. Just probably some of the best character animation I'd ever seen as a kid. And I watched a lot of Disney stuff back in the day. Just loving that animation. That was before the genie even showed up. So, I mean, I'll always remember how blown away I was by that art. Animation is not easy, kids. Ah, I got it. I figured that might be a dead end there. Get that bread. Whoops! Vine jumps, right? Game gets a bit harder now. Fair warning. I got 1 life left. Boop! Boop! Okay, how we doing? Guess I'm not gonna be able to get that red gem. That's okay. So I guess it's like a completionist thing. It's always one of the problems with games like this, that you have to make the game approachable enough for kids without making it too... I mean, like, of course, that didn't seem to bother Dave Perry and the boys, but... Whoops! You have to make the game approachable enough for kids, but not so easy that they completely don't even care about it anymore. But obviously that's not a problem, because does anyone think Turtles in Time is a hard game? It's probably everyone's favorite game as a kid from back in the day. So that's my Elden Ring commentary for the day. Everyone played the Konami code. Everyone had Nintendo Power. Everyone had the 63-man code for Super Ghouls and Ghosts. You know, whatever. Whoops! Yeah, great. Yeah, pull the rope. We are going to continue this time. Yeah, we'll come back and play a little bit of this game later. No! This is a research stream, basically. Aladdin is a bleh game. It's a platformer. You rent it for $5, and if you're a grade schooler, you play through it, and it's charming enough for what it is. It doesn't exactly have it's not exactly Kingdom Hearts. You know, it doesn't have the spectacle of a Kingdom Hearts-like game. It's just move to the right, move to the left, jump on people's heads, swing from some platforms, and an hour later, you've completed the game. And you have a password. So, that helps. Let me go back. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else. Can I leave completely? Yes, just quit out. Quit. Cancel. Quit. No save. Okay, we're going to do a quick check on something. That was just an audio check. Watch a playthrough of this game? No, we're not going to do that. But let me do the bonus game check. This is the Game Boy version of the Virgin Games version of Aladdin. So again, in an interesting bit of hubris, I guess, Virgin Games got the rights to make a Game Boy version of the Genesis game. Now, I think eventually the Game Boy version that Capcom made came out. I don't quite remember. I'll confirm that, but I want to say Nintendo Power confirmed that a Game Boy version of Capcom's Aladdin did come out. Again, cats and dogs living together. You might as well make a Sonic the Hedgehog game developed by NMS. I think they did the Lion King port, the Game Boy port of the Lion King. I'm not sure. We'll just mess around with this for a second. Practice. We're talking about practice. But again, we're just gonna mess around with it. We're not gonna spend too much time with it. At least the camera should be more manageable than in the Genesis game. The Game Boy was always an odd system. Like, people complain about the Nintendo Switch being underpowered. Back in the day, you would try to make games like NBA Jam and Mortal Kombat on this console, and they never should have even thought about doing that. Like, you cannot make Street Fighter 2 on a Game Boy. It doesn't work. The characters can't move fast enough. The screen isn't responsive enough. You know, like, I played fighting games like Raging Fighter on the Game Boy. It can't do it. Now, if you streamline the fighting, make it more like Smash Brothers, I guess. Yeah, I guess you can make it work. But this console couldn't, like a Nidhogg-like dueling game. Wait a minute. I was about to say, why did I throw an apple? Yeah, I threw an apple for some reason. Oh, yuck! Look at that, look at that, look at that jerky screen. Wow, I thought the camera was jerky on the Genesis version. Well, some of the animation run cycles look pretty good. Wow, this jump is like... Wow. Holy shnikes, this thing is awful. Like, the jump is like it's like a geometric jump. It's like you're jumping like a triangle. Look at the jump physics on this. Well, at least you have some air control. That's good. But it's like you're being jerked by a bungee cord in a way. Yeah, this is literally like a triangle going up and down. Yeah. Wow, a geometric jump. And it's really slow, too. Again, I don't know what people are expecting out of Game Boy games. I can't grab onto the... Hold on. There we go. And the animation cycles are here. It's just that they're really slowed down. It's like I'm playing the game in slow motion. This is like a kid saying, "Mom, I want Disney's Aladdin." And Mom's like, "We have Aladdin at home." This is basically the Aladdin they got. But you said you wanted Aladdin. But I wanted the real Aladdin. Yeah, ugh. God, Game Boy games were a mistake. Your boy likes Revenge of the Gator just fine, but... God, imagine playing this on the spinach green screen, too. Oh, Lord. Nope, can't jump any higher. Really sluggish, this port. Okay, enough. The other problem is your character has to flash so you know that they're invincible. I can't make this jump. And I died, probably. Yeah, I died. Wow, what a garbage game. I don't think I took a hit on that. Okay, so what's the strategy here exactly? So you're just supposed to play the game in slow motion? Is that how we're doing this? Holy crap, this is god-awful. Like, I mean, yeah, it feels like we're playing like a bootleg version of the Genesis game in slow motion. Like some bootleg, like some bootleg Malaysian, Taiwanese, underground. What? Like it's here, like everything is here. It's just, it's like the cycles are here. It's like they were allowed to use the animation cycles from the Virgin Games version, from the original Virgin Games title. But they just slow everything down. Ugh. I mean, I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to... They were literally trying to put the genie back in the bottle. That's what happened here. Like you know you're a developer and you're like, yeah, yeah, you're a developer and you're like, yeah, they want us to make a Game Boy port. How? Well, make it move in slow motion. Make it a functional port. Like, my logic says, okay, shrink the sprites. But, like, if the action's not going to be fast enough, then it's like, okay, make it a different game. Like, make it like a... Make it like a Rygar-like, you know what I mean? Like a Rygar-like game. Like, completely change it, but take the skeleton of the original Genesis game, but kind of, like, make it more of a Metroid-like, I suppose. I don't know. If I didn't have enough time. I mean, they made the original Mega Drive game in, like, what, a week? They made it in, like, 6 months. Yeah, like, I think they made it in, like, 4 months. It was, like, some ridiculously short turnaround. So they probably spat this Game Boy game out, like, 2 months later. They're like, yeah, just take the base. We'll give you the sprites. We'll give you the animation cycles. Just make it work on the Game Boy. We'll see what happens. Okay, yeah, I can't do this. If I were a kid, I might be forced to play it because I own it. SCSG. We'll come back to Aladdin, don't worry. Lord.